can't tell you how excited I am for this 6-hour commute to San Antonio.
You're going with the wife, right?
Yeah, she's making her first trip to coaching school ever. So pretty juiced all around.
It's a big deal.
Huge deal. Another huge deal. Had a business slash member of the community, man, big time help us out. They're going to sponsor, quote unquote sponsor, sending the whole staff to dinner. So, because there's 3 or 4 wives that are going, and the vast majority of the staff is going, and so we're gonna go have a pretty nice dinner and spend some quality time together before we kiss our wives goodbye and tell them see them at Thanksgiving.
Pretty much. That's what it is.
I just was playing because I love the game. And it's scary to me.
It's really easy for the game to become a job.
Below 6 in his hands, whistle his mouth.
Man, kids out there playing the game, staying out of trouble, competing. I love it.
But speaking of that, coaching school, I don't know how many I've been to at this point, but I've been to a lot, and I think it's always a unique experience. There's a ton of value that comes out of it, but it's just like anything. Like, you get out what you put in. I was talking with our defense coordinator earlier this week how we know that there's a large population of the coaches that attend who this is vacation on their school district's dime. They get a hotel room in San Antonio, and you might see them for 20 minutes at the convention center. You might not see them at all. But I'm really excited. They've got somebody from almost every single university in the state of Texas is going to speak, and obviously some from outside the state as well. Bunch of demos, but it's not just football. Obviously, you know that. It's volleyball, basketball, track, golf, swimming, rule changes, all those things. But yeah, we're headed to San Antonio tomorrow morning, and then the convention kicks off Sunday.
Who's speaking?
Sarkeesian's the last big one. The Tech defensive staff is speaking. There's all kind of variations of it, right? Like, there's the head coaches panel that they do where every head coach in Texas, college head coach in Texas speaks. Mac Leftwich from Tech is speaking as well. A couple of the Texas State assistants, Rice, UTSA. Almost every Division I football program in the state is represented on both sides of the ball. They're all represented in some form or fashion, but almost all of them are talking about both sides of the ball. So it's, it's the who's who's. It's 30 hours of lectures essentially over 2.5 days.
Got Big Bill speaking, huh?
Yeah, he's going to be down there. Well, he's doing the demo one, so he's going to be down on the turf, putting some of those local college guys through some O-line drills.
I love that. That's good. Dude, this is a good lineup.
Yeah, it's good. I mean, it's like I said, there's not. I will say one of the ones the two that I'm actually really excited to go listen to aren't even college coaches. Surratt is doing a defensive demo, and then Larry Hill's talking as well. And as you and I both know from our time at Tarleton working with Josh and Ryan Martin, and you were close in proximity to that school working with Mooch at Braunfels Canyon. Yeah. Not a lot's changed in 20 years under the Larry Hill regime at Smithson Valley.
Nope. Tall white socks, shorts, shirts tucked in.
Yeah. Gentlemen, we are sponsored by Plain White Socks.
I do love that. They're very Penn State-ish and the school here too, Brentwood Academy. I love the 2-color plain, just nothing on the helmet except for maybe a little number. I love that look. It's a good look.
And but the thing is that it's a classic look. But it's really hard to pull off unless you have the pedigree of a Smithson Valley, an Alabama, a Penn State.
Yeah, if you suck, you can't do it.
Yeah, then you look garbage.
Yeah, it's almost like the better you become, the less colors you have. You start stripping all the stuff away, and then
I remember talking about coaching school. I remember our boy Marco when he during COVID when he blew up on TikTok and whatnot. One of the best videos was when he talks about all the stereotypes at coaching school, and there's always the guy in shorts. That was a hot topic this week in our coach's office because a certain coach he's not a big fan of pants. And I was like, well, you'll be all right.
Are you forcing pants?
I mean, force is a strong word. It was highly suggested that when you go to the convention, let's have some pants on. Team issued shirt. This shirt right here and a pair of slacks. He goes, well, what shoes am I supposed to wear? I was like, no one cares. They just want to make sure that you're wearing pants because then it shows that you halfway care.
I feel like, So if I was in your shoes, which I've never been, I would say, okay, if we're going to wear shorts, no cargos, okay, like no Abercrombie and Fitch. It's got to be your normal golf slacks. But if you wear golf, khakis, if you wear golf khaki shorts, you have to wear a collared shirt. And then if you wear pants, like nice slacks, then you can wear what you're wearing right now. That would be my rule of thumb.
There you go. Go all time, right? Like what's the best piece of advice you can give from like your time experience? Because I mean, I know you haven't been to coaching school in a few years, but like all time experience, like what's the number one piece of advice the young coach going?
Well, for a young coach, you'll get nothing really from the exhibit center besides the free juice and electrolytes that you're probably going to need. The best piece of advice I would say though is actually go in with a plan. Like I never did that. I would be to me, when you go to the convention, it's like HEB. Like you walk around and it's like, I don't know what to do with my hands. I got to leave,? And so to me, it's like before you ever even step foot in there, like it's okay to have like the paper I'm looking at right now, which is the schedule, and literally like mark off what you want. Maybe put it in your Google Calendar. That way you have a plan, because it's so easy at coaching school, especially once you get in that convention center and the exhibit center, to get caught up just talking. And that's good. But dude, you've got to go in there and say, you know what? I want to hear Scott Surratt because I actually have intention with like hearing this. That's at this time. And then I have a 30-minute buffer. Now I'm going to go to this one. If you have a plan, you'll get a lot out of it. If you don't, you'll look up and after 3 days, you're like, I didn't do anything besides just talk about last season. And last season's last season. It has nothing to do with this season. So that's what I would do.
Yeah, I think that's a big piece. We were actually doing that in the office. I was doing that with a couple of our coaches. Just, who do we like, who do we not? I will tell you that one of the reasons we were looking is because we were trying to lock in a tea time while we were down there. Because you get work-life balance, right?
Yeah.
But we were looking at this schedule and who's talking about what. And like I said, the conversations and the discussions that I'm more excited to hear are the high school guys with Larry Hill and Surratt, just because both of them obviously coming off state championships. Both of them obviously there's just a difference, right? It's fun. And I think you can understand this. It's fun to go listen to those college guys. You just also have to remember that like when they're putting that indie drill up there and they've got 3 equipment managers and a GA that are help running it so efficiently, it's like, I don't have that. Right. Yeah. Not only that, but like the kid holding the dummy, he's going to be a freshman that's never played football before. And, he's going to get distracted by the shape of the clouds. And so I think there's value in that. It's just, you have to create that process where you take that information, translate it to how does this apply at the high school level? How can I make this a simplistic, efficient version at the high school level? Because if you try and just copy paste, it's going to be a tremendous waste of time, in my opinion. I don't know. There's probably better guys out there that can do it.
Yeah. No, like if I could do it again, like if you really want to be a dog and you want to like go in here and be strategic about it, like a good example would be like, hey, I'm going to go listen to fill in the blank coach talk about, attacking the 3-4, and then go on the schedule. Oh my goodness. 2 hours later, there's a defense coach talking about the 3-4. Like you could seriously use coaching school to that detail if you wanted, because there's so many meetings going on. And I think if you just set a plan, like you'll get a lot more out of it. And if you don't, you won't get much besides unplugging, which is good too. But it's not what it's all about.
What's the biggest no?
In coaching school,
Yeah.
like ethically,
No. No. Like you're again the young coach advice. Jesus.
it's like there's a lot of no-nos. The biggest no-no. Let me think on that. What would you say?
I mean, I just always this to me creates an environment where I revert back to Dino Babers. Don't let your nightlife affect your day life.
Well, for sure. Yeah,
You
yeah.
know,
Yeah.
but I think that's only if you go down there with the intention of actually trying to get better, right? A lot of guys, like I said, they go down there, it's vacation. Like they're going to go to the piano bar, they're going to do this, or, whatever. But if you have any intention, like I think the networking aspect is really valuable. And I think that you've got to work very hard to make sure that you're balancing all of that. Because I don't think a lot of jobs have been offered at some of those happy hours. I think that, I think that you can build relationships that you end up fostering that maybe lead to that down the road. But that'd be mine. Is don't let your nightlife affect your day life.
Yeah, I think. Yeah, I'd say there's two things because that's a great point. I'd say there's an external no-no and then an internal no-no. I think the external is what you just said. Like, don't be influenced, externally by everybody else and going out. I'd say the internal one is going to coaching school with a lot of insecurity in comparison. We talked about this at nauseum, so I'm not going to go on about it at all. But if you can go into coaching school saying, hey, I'm going to be way okay with telling everybody I'm the dumbest guy in the room, I think that will then open you up to be able to absorb. So I think that would be a positive, is to go in there and just say, let me just act like I don't know anything because I don't, and then let me learn it all. Otherwise, you'll do what we always did, which is go in there and hear the conversation. And really, I'm not hearing it anymore because I hear how smart the guy is. And then I'm comparing myself because I'm like pissed off because he's smarter than me. And then I'm like thinking about, why am I not as smart as him? Who did me wrong? You know what I mean? Like, and then I just missed the whole thing. So, yeah, I would say those two things. So.
I also think it's interesting that I don't know. I feel like it has changed. Like I feel like 14, 15, 16, 17, like the mid-teens, those years you go down there, it felt like the Power Four, the Big 12 SEC staffs that were there, they were much more like not attainable, approachable. Like there was a lot more of casual interaction.
Yeah.
And I feel like it's so structured now and it's so big now that like there's not a lot of those casual interactions because those guys they're not going down to the expo floor. They're not going to like the sideline power booth. They're not, they're going up there to talk. They got 2 or 3 of their assistants that are going to listen to them talk. And then they're probably half of them are going to jump in a shuttle and, drive back to wherever they're from because they got workouts or, camp coming up. And so I think that's maybe, I don't know, maybe I was a little bit more connected or in the loop to the itineraries of those guys back then, but it felt like there was a lot more casual. Like I will say that last year we talked about how running into Scotty Walden and kind of getting to spend some time with him and talk non-football, not in a structured environment. Like that was something that I always kind of anticipated and just assumed there would be some variation of that interaction every year at coaching school. And they've definitely tapered off the last few years. Yeah. But like I said, I don't know, that could just be me moving differently with like different expectations. I'll be honest, when you and I were first going, it was like it was 4, 5, 6 lectures a day and like, a bunch of the legal pads, like you get a new one and it's half full by the end of day one. That's definitely not the approach anymore. You try and be more of a sniper and pick and choose what you're going down there to learn. But I don't know. Maybe that's, like I said, maybe it's just different season of life. So different perspective.
Maybe it's also, one of those things to where it's like you start looking at trying to buy a car and all of a sudden you start seeing that car everywhere. It's because you're actually looking for it. I do think that whenever you and I were very in our infant stages of coaching, there is like that little bit of an obsession with those coaches. And so like wherever they were, we were going to find ourselves around them because like that's where we wanted to be at. And not that like I don't care anymore, that you don't care anymore, but it's more of like, I mean, like what, not to sound bad, but like what can they do for me? Like in reality, like,
And vice versa. Like,
yeah,
what can we
like,
really do for them? Like,
right.
you know, I would say that wholeheartedly, there was in that phase, there was still a part of me that was holding on to like, I might, maybe there's a back door that I like am able to sneak onto the staff in like a, part-time role or whatever and work my way up and blah, blah, blah. And, like we talked about a few weeks ago, I don't see that in my short-term future. So, hey, great to meet you. No, we don't have any kids that you'll be interested in this year. But yeah, I'll call you if we ever do. And you just do the pleasantries and you move on. If that interaction ever actually even occurs,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Some people who may have seen on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, you are kind of restarting a side project that I think kind of got its jump start during COVID.
Yeah.
But I think that you definitely need to tell the people about it because I think that there's a lot of value to it. Obviously, I know I'm biased, but I also think that it's much more attainable for coaches all over the country, players all over the country. It's not something that's going to be like geographically limited.
Yeah, no, yeah. So levels began, you're right, in COVID. It was me and the DFO at Lipscomb at the time, Preston Campbell, and it was strictly training like quarterbacks, like biomechanics and all that type of stuff. And so the way this came about, honestly, is all my wife. Like, God bless her. I mean, she's done everything so far. This is a few weeks ago, was like, because of obviously my situation and the lack of coaching, she's like, well, don't you love like the teaching part of football from like teaching on the board? It's kind of how she put it. And I was like, I do. More so now than I ever have in my life. And she was like, well, why don't you do that? I was like, I guess I could. Didn't think about it, right? And then all of a sudden, she gets really into Chat GPT and crushing it. And then all of a sudden, she's like, hey, I reached out to Preston. We're going to start levels back up. That's what it's going to be. You're going to go middle school and high school. And then I'm like, okay. So then I started seeing like, her investment, and I was like, okay, I need to reciprocate this. So I started kind of giving her some like boundaries. Hey, we'll go this age group here. And so essentially what it is basically there's going to be, I believe it's 4 weeks every Sunday for an hour, all virtual, to where basically with the first group, if you will, the middle school group, it's going to be football 101. And it's teaching them the vernacular, the language of football, the universal language. And then it'll dive into some quarterback play, obviously, and the pre-snap process. What is a pre-snap process? What's a post-snap process look like? And then with an older group, it'll be, basically AP football. And so we'll start diving into, okay, pre-snap process with your shell to edge. What is shell to edge? Boundary corner, boundary safety field overhang. There's a string tied to them. How that string is shaped will make a big difference. Is the string shaped in a triangle this way and the string is pulled here? Is it pulled out? Nickel Sam's out? Whatever. Like, those are the things we're going to talk about. And I'll share some film too, and we'll be able to watch film together. And I think I'm going to end up offering some other, probably shouldn't say this, but like other consultation things with the people that come. So maybe if it's a quarterback, hey, for X amount, I will help you in season with your games and how you played, how you performed, what I saw. And then I'm going to offer some stuff with coaches too, like, hey, let's look at your game planning. Here, I think you could do this instead. So that's the plan. It'll be a 4-week course and kind of go from there. But I'm excited about it because I love teaching that stuff. And there's more kids than I've ever seen that go to college and they're not ready for college. Not because they're physically not ready, but because they only know their own playbook and they don't know football in general. And I think if you know football and you know the vernacular of football, no matter the system you're in, you can adapt pretty quickly. Too many kids don't know football. They know CPA football, or they know Mount Vernon football, or they know whatever your school is football. And they don't know just the rules of inside zone. They know the rules of 32 or 31. So that's what it's for.
And just from my perspective, right, like, because I would say that the vast majority of our audience is coaches. So they're probably listening to this like, well, that'd be great, but like, I'm not 13 years old. It's like, okay, but think of the alleviation you can, like, this, some of the stress you can like delegate to TK from your program, right?
Yeah.
Having those kids push to an avenue that you know is high value. I don't know how many people are going to rewind that last little 2-minute ramble you went on about your strings and your shell and all that, because that's what you're going to get the whole hour. That's what it's going to sound like. And I hope they understand that. Not that this is supposed to sound like a pitch or a sales job, but I think that it's something that, I've had this conversation with Nathan Elliott, the OC at Salina. We saw NCAA, the video game. He always saw that from a quarterback perspective as like a teaching tool. Him and his friends played it so much, like that was the game that they played, but they played it obviously wanting to win, and it kind of subconsciously pushed them to learn the game of football, because that verbiage isn't the same as their high school program, and the positions aren't the same as their high school program, and the snap count isn't the same as their high school. It's different, so you have to learn how to operate within it, even though yes, it's obviously with a controller. And then they stopped making it for 15 years or whatever it was, and fortunately NCAA 26 is out, and my son is on his second road to glory, trying to win a couple more Heismans down at LSU. But it reminded me of like how valuable that can be. Yes, you can put it on freshman mode and you can cheese and, break a million tackles every play, but there is an opportunity for you to use that as a coaching tool, like a teaching tool for yourself. And obviously I think Levels presents an opportunity to do that as well.
Thanks, man. No, you're right. Cause there has been a few quarterbacks I've trained before where like I'm covering, some type of, hey, this is 3 boundary backer. It's a coverage. And at first they're clueless, and then I'll go over and they're like, oh, this is cover 3 blank on, Madden. And like, oh, well, that's better than nothing. At least you have that.
I mean, yeah, we can start somewhere.
Yeah, it's good.
So on that note, to put you on the spot, obviously, I know this has happened at some point in your career. Kid and his parents want it all, right? They want the full, like, master class TK, like quarterback program teaching, all that. And it takes you 20 minutes to be like, this kid's not, it doesn't matter. There's no amount of time, effort, money, energy that I can put into this kid that's ever going to get him to where they think he's going to go. How do you handle that?
So this is funny because I'm literally dealing with this right now. Like right now. Started training a kid probably a few weeks ago. And, like I asked him, I was like, hey, do you like it or do you love it? He's like, I like it. I was like, got it. Where do you want to play college ball at? I think I want to do track instead. Got it. Okay. Which I'm not saying like that you have to love football, but I think you do, obviously. But like, those are to me issues where it's like, hey, a little bit of red flag. And then to your point though, here in your question, it doesn't take long, honestly, to see a quarterback, especially if they're older, and be like, ooh, brother, you ain't got it. Like, that ain't it. I'm sorry. And I've just found over the years, full transparency, it's one of those things where it's like, hey, I'm going to speak on this from a selfless perspective first, and then a selfish perspective secondly. Selflessly, I'll say this: you are not a quarterback. I think that you could be great at fill in the blank position. But if you are truly wanting me to tell you where I see you projected, it is not in this position. And I don't think that this will benefit you to play at the next level. That's kind of how I frame it. Because everybody's like, I want to go to the next level. And it's like, okay, well, in my opinion, this is not that position, for you. And I'll say then selfishly, like, and a lot of times the kids I'm putting in the work, like, you're not putting in the work to be a quarterback. You and this are the only people to touch a ball every single play. That's a huge responsibility. So you're also a representation of me. I can't allow you to go out there and look like that. And I am your quarterback coach. Like, that's bad resume work. It's bad credit. And so I just try to be very honest with them and just tell them. And the parents normally don't like it initially. And I'm still young enough to where I have not yet had the full circle, maybe, where the parents come back 5 or 10 years later and say, hey, thank you. Or, hey, you were right. And maybe I'll never get that. But I have, as a young coach, not told a family that he could not do it. And it was just a complete disservice to them. I wasted their money. They wasted their money. I wasted his time. They wasted his time. Like, so it's not okay. It's not okay to do that. Yeah.
You saying, do you like it or do you love it? I saw, John Gruden, he's insane. And I love it. I love every second of his insanity. But he despises the college cadence.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
And so I can it's just funny that like John Gruden's a psychopath, and I love it, every aspect of it. And I think that we're both kind of like trajectory on that. Like, do you like it or do you love it? And it's, when he starts screaming out, play calls and whatnot.
Yeah.
Those are absolutely amazing.
The cadence is interesting. I want to talk about it. So, I think at the high school level, I actually agree with them. Even though
Shocker.
Even though I've clapped my whole career. I do think that giving the quarterback a voice is very, very important. Now, like what I've done in the past, and maybe this is stupid because I'm giving it away, but I'm not coaching anymore, so it doesn't matter. But what I've always done in the past is like, or the last few years, is like, it is verbal, and we clap, but the clap means nothing. So it'd be like, are you ready? Go. And it's on the go or it's on the hut. I think at the high school level, it gets you two things by doing that. The defense, because I've actually had this conversation with DCs before, the defense thinks that it's on the clap. So perfect. And because of that, now you as the quarterback have the advantage, because now if I am a good coach and I can teach you drama class and body language, I will actually have, at the louder stadiums, I will actually have the quarterback study when he says, ready, ready, how does his head move? And then what we'll do is, okay, have the same head movement, but don't say a word, and do a fake clap. So it'd be, if he's, ready, ready. Well, then all of a sudden, next play we're up and because maybe now we can see the backer that's capped over the Sam. He's starting to obviously, the safety capped over the Sam. All of a sudden now that Sam's starting to blitz. We see it now, easy. Now we can change that protection, right? Maybe we can get big on big and we can match somebody, whatever it is. But like, all from being able to, you can get that from a verbal cadence, but it's got to be like, on two,
Yeah,
or a hard count. And at the high school level, we just don't have that time, especially like in Texas, to where you can devote it, and you're more likely going to have a tackle kind of.
yeah.
So I just don't think I think clapping helps a little bit. Yeah.
It's interesting that you bring up like that's the value, that's the reason, because the NCAA is introducing the new rule change. I don't know if you saw this, and I'm going to go ahead and stand on the soapbox and defend all defensive coaches across the country. I think it's the dumbest thing in the world. They're now going to penalize defensive fronts for timely, in sync, and rapid shifts or slides.
Oh, really?
So like the fake clap onto all that stuff that offenses do to try and draw a tail or draw somebody off sides, right? Well, what was the counterpunch to that for defenses for the past few years? It's been the in unison slide. It's been, using the word shift. It's all these things. And so now the NCAA is implementing rules to where like the defense can't do that. And I read a description as to why Jason Phillips played linebacker at TCU in the early 2000s. I think it might have been like mid 2000s. I don't know. But he was a stud, like a couple years in the NFL. But he made a great point. It's like all of this, and I think that offensive guys know this. All of this is built around this hard, fast belief that nobody wants games that are won 14-10. They want them won 73-67, right? And it's so annoying. I mean, there's no limitations to the offensive side, right? We still have the full gambit. We can do this, we can do that. Like the only thing they've really taken from us is like you can't hide the kid on the sideline on a fake punt and just like throw him the go ball, right? But the substitution, they got to go inside the numbers before they come outside the numbers, all that stuff. Or standing over the ball whenever the offensive subs give the defense a chance. Like those are very limited rule changes in favor of the defense, whereas year after year the defense is just absolutely put in a blender with like, okay, hey, that thing you did that was really successful for slowing down like high flying up tempo offenses, you can't do that anymore. You're just gonna have to continue to get bigger, stronger, faster, so you can stop them without playing, full contact press man, because we'll throw a penalty on you for that too. And I just think it's the dumbest thing in the world, because like there's a lot of rule changes that the baseline reasoning is protection of players, and this is not one of them.
Yeah,
this is purely like TV ratings, ticket sales motivated, because they want the offense to continue to have the upper hand.
yeah, I wasn't aware of that. That's pretty stupid. Don't agree.
Yeah, they've been, I think a lot of the media days, Big 12, SEC media days, Big 10 media days, is where they've been kind of diving into the details of everything that breaks down the rule. But it's just ignorant.
So is that for this year?
For the NCAA, it is.
Wow.
Yeah, it's bad. How close do you think high schools are to the in helmet communication?
Dude, what a good question. It's a great question. I just feel like financially, like I feel like it can't be a NFHS thing. Like you know what I'm saying? Like I don't think it can be a national thing. I think that has to be just like the replay thing, if you will. Like Texas has always been a little bit different, obviously, in those decisions. I think that's what it's going to have to be. I would say from people full sending it and doing it, maybe in states, 2 years.
Is that going to change how you coach high school football?
Great question. Never really thought about it.
I say that because think of how many college programs their offense really changed, right? With the ability this past year to do that. Some of them would implement it and then they wouldn't use it the whole game.
Right.
Right? They kind of pick and choose their spots where like, okay, let's slow the tempo down. But a lot of those programs, those offenses that were just high flying up tempo, they're still signaling stuff.
Right.
Because they're trying to save time, and they're trying to keep that conditioning advantage, and keep the defense in a bind from a time standpoint to call play. I don't know. To me, I know it's going to happen. I think we're all aware it's going to happen. I hope it's later rather than sooner, at the high school level, because of something you kind of alluded to. It's the have and the have-nots, right? Like,
Yeah.
there's going to be a lot of school districts that can't afford to do that. And that's not fair. And selfishly and nostalgically, I think that it, I don't know. I think it takes away, you're making the high school game a little bit too professional. And everybody in this state takes high school football super serious, but we take it super serious from a communal high school stance, right? We don't take it Sunday 2:30 kickoff NFL franchise serious. I know some people do, and they might get mad at me for saying that, but I think you know what I mean.
No, I get that. No, I don't think that it would change. I think the only thing it would change would be situationally. Like if you have a young quarterback, then maybe you could give him more pre-snap alerts. Hey, here's, I don't know, they're in a 3 down. Make sure to point the jack of the wool here. I don't know, something like that. But I also don't think I could see it being a really negative too, because like for your coaches out there that are like crazy in control, they just won't shut up now, and the kid won't be able to play. So I don't think it would change much at all. I think it'd be more of just a slight schematic things that we could maybe add in there from a kill or alert perspective. But that's it.
In like small school football, like 2, 3A football, you're looking at an ego situation where the guy's like, hey, here's the play, and then like they signal a formation, they signal the play, and then he just spends that 20 seconds or 25 seconds or whatever telling the quarterback exactly what to do, right? So now you've created this like meta AI version of high school football where it's like you're just the puppeteer. and the quarterback's just out there following those instructions that you rambled off in 25 seconds before they cut the mic off.
I would say this, like thinking about it, like if you have a dyslexic quarterback, it depends on what kind of dyslexia he has. But like if he's got like an optic one, right? And he sees things backwards. Obviously, it'd be a huge plus then, because now you can hear you, and now maybe you can rattle it off because it's not auditory. So, just trying to think it right now, and just outside the box, that'd be a huge plus to it. I'd be curious in the NFL how many people that affected once they got there. It's like, oh goodness, now I don't have to read a wristband anymore or something like that, or see a signal because I always thought that his right was my left or whatever. So,
and I think that like it's so funny talking to other coaches and their stories of experiences with other coaches, and so many guys get this day and age and version of high school football, they get caught up in like sign stealing.
Yeah,
which is not that hard to do. It just takes. It depends on how you want to spend your Saturday, Sunday time, right? You could dedicate 2 coaches to like every week they're stealing signs, and they could probably do it in 3-4 hours. That's just the harsh reality. And a lot of coaches get caught up in like once they confirm those signals, then they're basing their whole game plan and their calls off of it, right? Yeah. So there's a little bit of an equalizer there, but at the same time, like that's what dummy signals are for. Like it's punches, counter punches. I think that's the fun part of it. And what I would hope is that, I think some of the entertaining aspect of high school football is the human error of teenagers, which can, it can actually absolutely wreck my own Friday night, but at the same time, it can absolutely make it in the best way possible. So, I think when you implement too much technology and too much control for the coaches, I think it becomes, you take away some of that, that aspect, that amateurism that is still high school sports. Yeah, and it's the amateurism is getting attacked from all angles. So I think that we got to try and fight and protect it as much as possible.
I agree with that.
I don't know if you noticed, got a new hat on. Got a new hat that's forward. I just want to throw this out there. A, anybody that works at TCU, please don't sue us. B, anybody that played for I think it was like the early to mid 80s TCU football teams that sees this, please let us know if you feel like it is disrespectful or an ode to the past. We were going for a nostalgic vibe. For those of you that are confused, it's the MVT is Mount Vernon Tigers. That's where the T comes in. So I would be curious to hear what people think of the new alt logo that we got floating around Mount Vernon, America.
I love it. And it's with a rope hat too, so that's good.
I mean, you can't go wrong with a rope hat. Mm-hmm. All right, last thing. Did you see Shane Gillis, our boy Shane Gillis at the ESPYs?
Dude, he absolutely murdered it.
What was the best joke?
The basketball player.
Hilarious.
I mean, it just because like I could see myself. I think everybody I could see myself looking around the room and be like, yes, like here we go. You know what I mean? Like I think, but when you saw the video of her doing it, or her seeing it and then laughing because of the amount of people that were actually clapping, it was so funny.
So for those who might have missed it, don't really know what we're talking about, Shane Gillis hosted the ESPYs a couple nights ago. The opening monologue that every host does for every award show, and they've been having comedians do the ESPYs lately, so that it's always just full of punchlines. It's kind of like a mini roast. And he says something along the lines of, shout out Brittany Hicks. We got Brittany Hicks in the house. She's 4-time WNBA All-Star, and the whole place starts applauding, and they put this camera on her, and it's this black woman. And at the peak of the clap and applause, Shane Gillis goes, "I'm just kidding. That's my buddy's wife. She doesn't play basketball. I knew none of you guys knew who WNBA players were." All timer, right? Absolute all timer. So shout out to Shane Gillis and Matt McCusker for an elite open to the ESPYs and the co-host of Matt and Shane's Secret Podcast.